I was lost. I didn't understand the world I was living in. You know, for me, the world was very chaotic and very violent. I've always felt that. And cinema is like a bubble. First, when you're an actor, you're like, you know, you're taken care of in a way. And you are like, it's like a micro world. It's like you're reinventing a new world. And I feel like in life, I feel very restricted in general, you know, and I don't really understand sometimes the rules. And really cinema is something that I understand, because cinema is the world of emotions. I mean, I think I understand emotions, and that's the only thing I really understand.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Léa Seydoux is an actor. She sat down with me in cyberspace to talk about the work. Do you have a typical first step that you like to take when you first land the role to kind of begin to wrap your arms around how to play it?
So, acting is very, I think it's very mysterious. And for me, it's also quite intangible. There is no good way to do it, if you see what I mean. It's like, yes. And every film is different for me, and has been different. And I've played very different characters, and it's every time it's different. But for me, the first thing is when I read a script, it's always quite abstract. Like it's a material that is like a bit like, as I said, like impalpable. Also, it's a work with like the material, like the script, but also like with the director, and the relationship you can create with the director. And I think that's the most important in a way. You have to understand what you're doing, but in a deep way, and and you have to understand the thought and what's behind the film. So why this director wants to make this film, and why he wants to tell that story. So for me, it's always important to understand that artistic impulse in a way.
What do you do though with that information that helps you? How does that tangibly help you?
You never have like a proper information. It's always like you have to guess. Right. Isabelle Huppert, you know, this very famous French actress, she said you have to make your own film. As an actor, you have to make your own film in the film. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense to me. Like it's really like it's also, as an actor, you have your subjectivity. Yes. You know, and you have your point of view. You have So that's and that's very. It's so that's why it's kind of mysterious, you know, because it's a mix of all that. And but what I love, I love to talk with the director, and I love to understand. I try to understand who he is, and what he likes, and his tastes, and his language in a way. Because for me, like making a film is like, it's a form of language, right? Like literature, or like painting, or like music. Yeah, it's a language. So you have to understand in a way the language that your director speaks, you know. So this is a process that I really like. Yeah, and I've always thought that. I mean, for me, I speak for myself, but when I'm part of a film, I I'm interested in the object, the artistic object that the film, you know, it's like I'm not like focused on my part or,
Yes.
you know, I'm not obsessed about my performance. It's more like it has to be. I like it when it's bigger than me, or you know, when I feel that I'm part of a project and part of a beautiful like artistic object.
Yes. But what about when you finally have to go to that set? What is it that you need to have at your fingertips in order to be able to do your best work?
It's always very different. It's never like, I never feel the same. Like I felt like sometimes very confident and sometimes not at all. I'm not very constant, you know, in the way I feel and how I feel about myself. And also it depends on what you're living when you're making the film, you know, your personal, like, where do you, I mean, life is, you know, like a roller coaster. So sometimes I've made films where I felt very fragile, and I try to use always like what I am and how I feel in the present moment. And like, this is my, you know, I'm my own instrument. But there are like movies, I've read some scripts or I've met directors where I felt that I was completely in sync with what they wanted to express, you know. And so sometimes it can be just like a line, a phrase in the script, and then I understand, like, I'm sure, like, yeah, the picture is very clear to me, like, and when it happens, it's great. I mean, because then it's like I become the character, and I love when I'm on set and I feel that I don't have to act, that I'm just a character. I feel that it's like I want to then it becomes like almost like my cause, you know. Like I'm like, I want to fight for this character. I want this person to exist in a way. So this is when it happens. It's really amazing. And sometimes I feel that I'm not really like connected, you know, or emotionally, or with, you know, or it's more like a performance. And sometimes it happens like in big films where you have to, you know, play things that are completely unrealistic, or you know, and you're like, you have to like imagine that you have like monsters coming or whatever, you know. This is like, sometimes it can be difficult because it's not like, I have to say that for me, like, when it's not, you always have to connect, you know, to connect and to make, to it has to become personal in a way and intimate. And when it's not, because the film, the subject, or sometimes the technique is you know, you have to adapt yourself to the technique. That's sometimes difficult for me, I have to say, but it's also fun. I mean, it's for every film you have to adapt in a certain way, and that is something also that I love about acting, is this capacity of adapting, you know. And even like, for example, I'm French, but I love to work in English, because for me it's like a new world, you know. It's very exotic, and I like that. I mean, I also I need to make things to make them personal and truthful. And I'm always, I think I'm always looking for truth in a way.
What you're saying right now is making me think about how I felt when I watched France, your new movie, because I left there thinking, this really felt effortless. This was like effortless acting. You know, by that I'm not implying that it was effortless for you, but for me as a viewer, even the heavily emotional stuff felt like it was just coming easy. And that was particularly striking because of how complex the character is and how complex the situations are. Is it because of their complexity that you were able to really live it, and for me to have that experience watching it?
Oh, for France, it's I mean, it was again very different. I knew Bruno Dumont's films. He's a very peculiar filmmaker. He has a singularity, and I kind of I was very, very touched by something. Is that I kind of I understand his vision. I have, and so he always spoke about, like, Bruno Dumont, the fact that in cinema, like in life, for example, he was like talking. He was a philosopher. He was a teacher. He used to teach philosophy.
Oh wow!
So he has this approach to. There's this approach to his films, and so he was saying that in life we experience, we all experience, this, like, the sacred, what it means, like, when you're in love, for example, you feel that the sacred aspect of life.
Yeah.
And so he always, like, he was saying that, so in cinema it is something that you can make happen. You can make this happen in cinema, sacred. And actually it really, really touched me. It was an interview that I listened before shooting with him, before filming. So, and I always love to listen to filmmakers when they speak about their work, because then you understand, like, a lot of things. And so the fact that he was, like, talking about this, the sacred aspects of that it is something that we all experience in life, but that is not tangible. Again, like, it's not something reachable, but yeah. So it is in the film, and sacred exists because also you have the opposite, which is profane and sacred. And so to make this happen, sacred, you need profane.
Yes.
Like, it goes together, and it's always, like, understood something, that one thing goes always with its opposite. Yeah, opposite. And then to and that's life, actually.
Yes.
And there is always, like, there is no Manichaeism. Manichaeism, you understand?
Mechanism, yes.
Yeah. And I like that. I like the fact that she's not a good girl or a bad girl.
Yes.
And we don't really judge her at first. When you see her, she's kind of not very likable. But then you feel for her, and you have access to her. And that's what was so interesting about her. And there was no, like, I could try everything also with Bruno. Like, I felt that I was very free, and I was not afraid of being, like, of even, like, of bad acting, or I was just like, okay, let's go for it. And it was, like, completely it was kind of there was this this sweet craziness, and I like that. I like when there's, like, a bit of fantasy, like when it's a bit crazy. And she's very extreme and intense. Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, it was very, very interesting to be her.
And how important is that feeling of freedom from a director for you? And along those same lines, what are important characteristics for a director, for you particularly?
I think intelligence and sensitivity. If they are intelligent and sensitive, usually it's always interesting because it's also a language, as I said, So it's
Yes.
just the dialectic in French is very interesting, and what I love to work with filmmakers because I love their I love to be part of their world, And for example, when I worked with Wes Anderson, I loved being part of his world. I mean, it's he's so different from like Keshish, Abdelatif Keshish,
Yes.
Is The Warmest Color, which
Yes.
was like it was a realistic film. And Wes is more like there is this it's more like a theater group. I mean, and he's very, very
Precise.
and and very visual, and he's a real aesthete.
Yeah.
They are all like so different. All those directors I've been working with, and it's every time it's so interesting.
So you actually like the differences in directors then? Like you respond to someone like Wes Anderson who's so seemingly restricting.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not a turnoff to you.
No, it's not. No, I love I'm not like, no, I'm gonna do it that way, or I'm gonna do it my way. And it's, you take it or you some actors have like, they don't like to be given like, indications, or they want to, and me, it's really the opposite. Like I'm very, I don't succeed all the time because it's difficult. Sometimes it happened to me, like a director was like asking me something that I couldn't really, that I was struggling to do. It's not like easy, but I really like to, in a way, transform myself. And I feel that I'm here for the project. I like being part of a whole.
You said once that cinema was your education and it saved your life.
Yeah. Yes. And I really believe that it saved my life. And actually it really like I learned everything thanks to cinema. I mean, it's for me, it's a way to understand the world. Cinema, and yes, I it saved my life because I was lost. I didn't understand the world I was living in. For me, the world was very chaotic and very violent. I've always felt that. And cinema is like a bubble. First, when you're an actor, you're like, you're taken care of in a way. And you are like, it's like a micro world. It's like you're reinventing a new world. And that's and you're also allowed to be a child, which is in the society today. You can't,
Yes.
And when you act, you can be like, you can just lose control in a way, and you're paid for that. Yeah. And I feel like in life, I feel very restricted in general, and I don't really understand sometimes the rules and the even like politics. Sometimes I'm lost as well. Like and really cinema is something that I understand, because cinema is also the world of emotions. And that world, I think I understand emotions. And that's the only thing I really understand.
Léa Seydoux, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
This was not enough time. Maybe sometime soon we can sit down for part 2.
That'd be great.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.